Hi, I'm Matt Parrett, a Chartered Tax Advisor from Tax Shop Accountants in Wellington. That's Wellington, Somerset. Today is about VAT and voluntary VAT registrations and backdated registrations. So a voluntary registration can be very useful because the people you're doing business may think that you're a larger business than you actually are. So your turnover may only be 30 or 40,000. You voluntarily register for VAT, you charge VAT on your invoices, and the customers think, okay, this guy, he looks like he's a bigger business, which may get you bigger contracts. So that can be quite useful. It's a bit like when you decide to have a limited company. That also gives people the impression that you're a bigger business than you are. So a limited VAT registered business is a great start if you want to make yourself look like you're a bit bigger than you are, just to get some contracts. So voluntary registrations, you could be, let's say, let's take an example, you might be a contractor or a builder or whatever. You're turning over 40 or 50,000 pounds a year, but you want to register. So yeah, no problem, you can do a voluntary registration from whatever date you want, and you'll charge 20% if you're doing taxable, i.e. vatable supplies. So you charge 20% of your invoices, and you reclaim the VAT you've suffered on your costs. So why would you, apart from the fact that you want to be a bigger business, or any other reasons? Yes, well, let's say for example you have bought a truck 2 years ago, a truck or a van, whatever. You've paid VAT 2 years ago on the purchase of the van. You're allowed to go back 4 years from the date of your registration or your voluntary registration, and you can reclaim the VAT on the full value of the invoice if you've got the VAT invoice from up to 4 years ago. So a van from 2 or 3 years ago, you got the VAT registered, you got the VAT invoice, from the garage. You can go back and you get all of that back, even though it's 2 or 3, 4 years later. So that's great. You get a nice big reclaim as long as you've got the VAT invoice. So that's fantastic. You can also go back 6 months for services. Basically, general services, as long as those services haven't all been used up by the time you register, you can go back and you can get some costs back on telephone calls, internet, things like that, sort of service things. So you can get some VAT back on those. Now, when you're doing a voluntary VAT registration, it's important to look at your customer. So if your customers can recover your VAT, then it's not going to cost them any money. If your customer can't get your VAT back, then you're making yourself more expensive. So you really shouldn't do it. It's just not worth it. So look at, if you're going to be charging VAT, then it would be worth you checking that your customer is happy with it and they can get the VAT back. If you're not charging VAT, i.e. you could be doing new building work, so it's zero rated, then it's not going to matter so much because your customer's not going to be bothered because there's no VAT. And providing you just do non-vatable work, then you can recover VAT on your costs. So that's really useful. Again, another kind of registration can be a backdated registration, and I've done a lot of these for people. It used to be very, very popular for people using the VAT flat rate scheme. So let's say they're an insurance agent, for example, and the person they were working for, the company they were working for, was a VAT registered company, so they had no problem reclaiming. You would go back, you'd register from 4 years ago, suddenly you've got 4 years worth of VAT payments you get given by the person you work for, i.e. your client. You've suddenly got a load of VAT, and the flat rate scheme allows you to keep quite a proportion of that. Now it's not so great. There is still a scheme there, but it's nowhere near as beneficial as it was previously. There may be other reasons why you want to go back. You may have, you probably aren't within the flat rate scheme, but you may have lots of VAT things to reclaim that you didn't think about. So yes, you can go back 4 years, charge your customer 4 years worth of VAT, they pay you that, then you go back, claim against all the expenses you've incurred, the materials, the goods, and you get to keep a lot of your VAT. So that's brilliant. Lastly, I'll say on this subject is there's a thing coming out in next April. It's April 19. It's the Making Tax Digital, or Making VAT Digital. It's actually come out next April. That won't apply if you're below the VAT threshold. So if you're a trader who's voluntarily VAT registered, say 40 or 50,000 turnover, you're not going to have to comply with this Making Tax Digital VAT regulations. So that can be quite useful, so you don't actually need to have all the software that somebody earning over the limit will have to have. So that's it for this one. Thank you.